Whenever you're ready, Chairwoman.
I call this meeting of the CUNA Arts Commission for August 1st to order. We'll start with our roll call. Garrett, if you wouldn't mind.
Second, Vice Chair Tom Mattis.
Present.
Vice Chair Dave Lyon.
Present.
And Chairwoman Deb Ann Rippey.
Present. Thank you. We move to our review of last meeting's minutes. We did receive those, and we will need to approve those, but are there questions, clarifications, or corrections? Seeing none, then I would ask for unanimous consent on approval of the minutes to be filed as they have been given to us. Okay, we have a motion and
I approve.
a second.
Second.
Yeah, so all approve, say yes. Yes. The motion clearly carries. Thank you. We have on our agenda next our business, and first up is the Public Art Project. So Initial Point Real Estate Mural, and it will require some action item once we get some information. So Leah, the floor is yours.
Yeah, so that first item on there is a public art project that we've been given by Initial Point Real Estate. They're looking to do murals. In your packet, you'll find pictures of the buildings that they're looking to do the murals on and drafts of the murals as well. It's the business is located on Main Street. We also have a representative from the business if you guys have any questions for them. But that's on here as an action item because it does need to be approved by the Arts Commission.
Thank you. And discussion open for the possible murals.
So when it says pub, seeing we have a representative here, and I saw the examples, I'd like to hear from what your thoughts were and about each of these and what just some input.
My name's Kayla Shiverick with Initial Point Real Estate, and so the idea was to just bring something that embodies the community, interacts with the community of CUNA, and we met the artist, Catherine. She's been doing some window painting in the area, and we started having her do some of that, and we've just been talking, and we talked about visions of what we wanted to see as we continue to develop our building on Main Street, and she just started spitting out ideas, and then this idea came to life, and we have this blank canvas to put it on. It's on Main Street, and the wings was an add-on that will be a little farther down. You see Jeff Miller, the owner there, he's great that I put that on there. Kind of like downtown Boise, interactive, you can take your picture in front of it, kind of keeping with the CUNA colors there. High school, just thought it would be a great piece to add to Main Street.
So my question, Freak Alley or?
Well, I think that's what it's called. And then doing like a birds of prey kind of wing versus what you would normally see a traditional butterfly. So just once again, just adding something more that's just CUNA.
And can you talk to us about time frame and budget? It sounds like you already have an artist.
Yep, we have an artist. It's Kate Mix Fine Arts is what I believe her actual, what she goes under. And so the budget for it, I believe, is, I need to double check this, but I think we're around 2,000 for all of it. And that includes putting 2 or 3 layers of graffiti clear coating on top of it, so that way if anything happens, it's going to stay vibrant. If any any vandalism or anything on top of it will be cleared off. So it'll maintain it for a lot longer. And I believe she said it was a 10-year wear on it if we did the 2 to 3 coats, and it's called a graffiti coating.
Thank you. So that is the amount that you're requesting from the city?
No, we're paying for it.
I see.
Yeah, we just,
I see. You're just getting
approval for it, yeah.
Okay.
So my question is, it's your building on your property. How is that you need our permission?
So any type of signage, we do have to get cleared for the city. Yeah, we can, I think that we can do like temporary signs like banners for 30 days or less, just for as needed, but anything permanent would need to be approved for.
You guys are functionally acting as like a approval of a variance for the Planning and Zoning Commission. So just to perhaps give a little bit more clarification on that.
And that's exactly why I asked. I think what I see in the two the options, in my mind, is very indicative of our area. Going south, Swan Falls Road. I like this. Could you go to the next mural? And that mural there, you said, I heard you say butterfly, but I think you're talking birds of prey. And
Yeah, I think traditionally, like when you go places and they have the wings that you can take a picture in front of, they're normally a butterfly, or that's what people identify with. So we thought we would do, CUNA based and do birds of prey. So, and then Catherine came up with this.
I got you. Will it have CUNA above it like that? Gotcha. Yeah, so I like what I see as long as it's within, the artist stays within those guidelines. And it's, I'm a birder, so I know that there's very few birds that have that colorful type of underwing. But that being said, I'm not against that. Is it your vision and hope that people would take pictures next to it? Like he's standing there and that's the...
Yeah, that's the idea. Just to be interactive, we have the blank space there, and we're just trying to figure out how we can add without taking away,
So I like where you're going, and I hope that we would see others do the same. Yeah, I'm glad you brought this before us.
We're excited about it.
To answer, to double click on Debbie's question, how long would it take? If we prove it, what's the timeline?
So she said she could have it done within a month or so. It just depends on when we get the approval and we get everything finalized with her and what other, because she has other pieces that she's commissioning in the valley. So it would just really depend on when we get it approved. But she said traditionally 4 to 6 weeks max, as long as, weather, everything is working in her favor.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? I'm excited to see something like this happening. It was interesting that there was an article in the paper today about some work being done in Nampa
Oh, I didn't
on
see
their
that.
murals, so it's very timely. If there are no other questions or no other discussion, the chair would entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve of the request.
Commissioner, if I may, we are seeking recommendation for approval in that specific wording.
Okay, so I would like to make a motion, recommendation for approval of the request.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to recommend approval for the request before us. Any other discussion before we vote? All in favor, say yes. Yes?
Aye.
There's no opposition, so it clearly carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So my understanding is that now this will go forward, and then that will be looked at and approved or disapproved.
That is correct.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming in.
Next on our agenda is the call to artist application review, which will also require some action on our part once we have reviewed and discussed. Leah, the floor is yours again.
Awesome. So we have one application that we received for our call to artists in the period of time which before our next exhibit, which opens August 21st. So we just have this application to review. She sent in images of the pieces. There's titles for each, dimensions for each, and she wrote a bit about a few of the pieces as well. We have amount of space that we have at the center for these pieces. About 3 different walls where these pieces could be set up. So we have one wall that has 118 inches of space that we can show a piece. Another wall that will be 58 inches for a piece to be shown, and another wall again will be 48 inches. So that's the three different walls we have for pieces. If we choose, whatever pieces you so like or want to see at the center, they just have to fit within those spaces on the walls at the center. But we have pieces to look at, and if you would like to approve any of those to be shown at the center.
So we would need to select some of those pieces, but not all, is that correct?
Yes, I don't believe all of those pieces would be capable of being shown at the center with the space that we have allotted for showing pieces.
I see.
Yeah.
Leah, instead of trying, I'm trying to fit my head around the dimensions and how it looks. Would it be safe to assume, or could we approve, but let you work with the artist, they come in? Because it would appear to me, you throw some numbers out, and I'm like, okay, I don't know what's going to fit and what's not. Would it be prudent to allow you to just pick, with the artist and go, this looks good and this is what we want? Because I would approve any of these for her to display, but I don't know how well they're going to look. So I've got this.
Yeah, so, that's possible, but the commission, as it stands with our call to artists, would need to approve pieces from our call to artists and from the ones that she submitted. For the center, I could work with her in the space that we have at the center, for which walls they would go on, or in the space that they allotted. The space that they're going in, if you remember, the center is sort of that hallway area going to the media room. So those sides of the walls, that one wall that has 2 rails there, and then the other wall where there's a window in between the 2 sort of sides that would lead to the gallery. On the other side of it is the gallery. So those are the walls that we're working with, if that gives you a better idea of what the space looks like.
Can we get your feedback on? I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I see 10 of those in 2 triptychs. What would you recommend? I like all of them. The abstract stuff that Tish is doing is very nice. I just don't know what fits. So do you have a recommendation on something that I'd like to hear a recommendation on your side for what fits and what you think we could do at the center?
Yeah. So as I was looking at the pieces, a lot of these, there are a few triptychs and there are a couple diptychs in here. On the longer wall that we have available with 118 inches, I think that'd be a good space for the triptych pieces. There's a couple in here, just because the dimensions we're given, those span about 60 inches. If it goes on that larger wall, that could sit in the center of the wall, and there's still space on the either side, and it would still allow for space for a label, for that wall. If we choose the longer pieces, the triptychs there, or if we decide there are the 3 pieces towards the end that are framed. They're all framed in similar frames, so those could all go on that longer wall for a sense of, similarity, because they're all framed similarly with the same frames. So that's an option as well. And I know for the sunflower piece at the beginning and the wild and free fields of flowers, those can be shown side to side or on top of one another, like this, or side to side. So those could go on the shorter or smaller wall spaces.
So would you like us to select what goes there, or?
Yeah, is that what we would need to do? Or is it possible for us to do a blanket approval, and then as space becomes available, to allow her pieces to be shown?
Is this the first one we've had?
Yeah.
Right? So I think if we can set some type of precedence versus move in a direction of, so we know, right? So I've been down there twice, and I think, I don't remember it exactly, but I think if we had a sheet like you provided that shows us that wall hanging space, just with some dimensions, I can visually try to fit it in. I can't do that right now, just in my own mind. So, Deb, are you having the same thoughts, or am I off
Well, it
base?
sounds like there are some limits to what we can approve. So I guess my question is either what is the max we can approve, or can we approve all and then let those be rotated in?
So that's an option as well. I mean, so you could approve a few depending. Yeah, sorry. I guess it's hard because I'm there every day, so I know what the space looks like. You guys have only been a couple times. So we can approve a few for this rotation. If you also would like to see your pieces for the next rotation, we could do that as well. So we could approve, pieces that I know would fit in that space for this rotation, because we have 2 rotations left for the remainder of the year. But yeah, I mean, so that's an option as well. That would mean like we just, again, I know the dimensions of the walls, and we have dimensions of the pieces, so I could fit those in there. I know that. It's just, I guess, I don't know what your guys' thoughts are for going forward. We have to have them approved, because that's the way it's set up. But the way in which we approve at least this application, because there are quite a bit of pieces to available, would depend on what you
So
think and feel comfortable
I think that's a great input. I think what I see here that's submitted is a 16 by 20, so those are nice. How many 16 by 20s do you think would you be willing to display? 4? And 1 triptych?
in one triptych. So, the thing with the triptychs is that would only fit like one on that wall that's longer, because it's 118 inches. These span 60 inches in total, I'm assuming, with the dimensions we've been giving. So you could fit one triptych on that wall. So it just fit one there, and then the other spaces are smaller than 60 inches, so you couldn't fit a triptych on either of the other walls. You could fit some of the smaller pieces, or the diptychs, on top of each other. So that would be my suggestion. Would be we choose a triptych, they would go on that larger wall just because of the size of them. Yeah.
So, Debbie, I think we should stick with the flower theme that she's got going on. The flowers knew the sun, she painted, and she climbed the hill. Those are my 3 recommendations. And then on a 4th, it would be the wild and free fields. If those can fit, And that's a start.
Yeah, so I see what you're saying, whether the 16 by 20s, those three that
Yeah.
are in the similar frames, those could fit on the
Small walls.
the smaller walls. You could do two on the 58-inch, span on one wall, and then we have another piece that the wall is 48 inches, so you could put another piece on that wall. Yeah, those would fit in those smaller walls.
And Tom, would you repeat the recommendations that you made?
So it was, she climbed the hill, she painted, and Wild and Free Fields. That Wild and Free Fields is a little bit larger, so I think that it's one of my reasons why 1, 2, 2, and a triptych, right? It gives a broad variety, but yet it really exemplifies what the artist is capable of. Here they are bigger, Debbie, if you want. So that's one, that's Wild and Free. That's not the triptych. There's that. She climbed the hill, which is another pretty. There's this that she painted, and then this triptych, which is the flowers. So they're all flower themed. I think those would all fit, since there was a good, better description, for me, of the palette, or the canvas you have down there at the center, right? So that's what I think we should start with, and make that fit.
Yeah, those would all fit. So we could do the triptych on the larger wall. She painted and she climbed the hill on the smaller wall. That could even fit on the 48-inch wall or the 58-inch wall. And then the diptych Wild and Free Fields of Flowers could fit on either as well if they're placed one on top of each other.
Guess my question is, are any of these for sale?
That was not indicated on the application that we received. If she does decide to do that, we do have that is written into our display agreement. If she so chooses, she can do that. But it wasn't indicated on what I received, whether she would like to or not.
Well, I would like to make certain that we are encouraging the artists that submit to us. I do understand that we have some limitations. So it sounds as though we have at least some that we could say this would fit for both our theme and our space, at least currently, with the option of possibly looking at the other pieces later on or in a different theme. Is that correct?
I'm not sure what you're asking quite.
Do we need to, if we don't approve some now, can we approve them later?
If I may jump in, you have the option and capacity to via motion. However, because we're dealing with another person's property, it would be subject to the artist's desire to continue to display art pieces at the center. So within your motion, you certainly can include that as an option for allowing the artist to continue to display at a later date or at another rotation.
Okay, thank you. So other discussion on which pieces? I assume we are all thinking that this will be a good thing to do, is to include these pieces.
I have nothing further.
think they all look nice. They'd all fit in there. I'd like to be able to approve them to go in there. If she needs to rotate them, she could do that too. I guess one quick question I have is the room accessible now?
So these wouldn't be displayed in the gallery because the gallery is still not ADA compliant. It's in the space leading to the media room, sort of that hallway area, Dave. It's in that space, so that means it is accessible because it's not in that gallery space. It's in above, leading to the media room. So it's accessible.
Are you still working to make that other space accessible?
Yeah, absolutely. I have to work with Parks and Facilities, the Parks and Facilities Department, to get that, to work on that. Right now, it's their busy season. They have a lot of things going on, but I am working towards getting that floor figured out.
The earliest, and I'm not saying it will go through or anything, but the likelihood of the earliest you would likely see that would be, or approval for that would be October. It could certainly be after that, but as far as getting anything, it would ADA compliant or moving towards that direction would be October. Just due to fiscal, the way the city fiscal cycle works.
Okay, if there's no other discussion, would we like to set forth a motion?
Madam Chair, I make a recommendation that we I move that we approve the request for art display at the UNICEF by Tisha Johnson.
Commissioner, we would prefer the specific titles that you're looking for. You've mentioned those, but just to clarify. And then if you're wanting to allow the artist to be able to come back to mention that as for perhaps the next cycle, if that's what the commission's desire is, to mention that in your motion as well.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we allow the flowers Know the Sun. She painted. She climbed the hill, and Wild and Free Fields be approved for display at the Kuna Art Center. Yeah, I don't know, what date should we put in, or? I think, isn't that something that can be, this seems a little bit odd to me, because if we approve it, it would have to fit with Leah, and they would have to. What's your recommendation, Garrett?
Leah, what is your cycle on that?
Yeah, so the next one, if we approve the pieces that you mentioned, those would be going in at the end of this month, August 21st, when our new cycle for our new opening opens, and then the following one would open, I believe it's, sorry, let me pull up the, our next display would open in November, so it open in November and run through the end of the year for the next cycle, if you so choose to also put her pieces in there. So it'd run from August to November, and then November to beginning of January, I believe. And that would be possible if you choose to do so, and if she would like to show for that long, I could for sure send that out to her.
Okay, and do we have a second to the motion on the floor?
I'll second it.
Thank you. We do have a motion to display the flowers knew the sun. She painted, she climbed the hill, Wild and Free Fields, for this rotation starting August 21st. and then to display the remaining paintings with the permission of the artist, starting in November's rotation. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of the motion, say yes.
Yes,
Yes.
Yes.
There are none opposed. Motion clearly carries. Thank you. So was that the only artist that submitted?
Yep, that was the only artist that submitted in that period, before the deadline that I set for this following opening. It was the only application.
Thank you. So we will run another call.
Yeah, I'll continue to push that call to artists because it's an ongoing application that people can submit. So I'll keep posting about it so people know that they're available to submit.
And if and or when that room becomes ADA compliant, then there will be a whole lot of option there too, I would assume.
Yeah,
Greater options perhaps.
yeah, more space in that
So for,
gallery.
Thank you.
for future state, what's the next period, so we know, right? I mean, like, I see on page 24, you've got the proposed annual planning, right? We're getting down to the end. My, as Garrett brought up, that segment, or when does it run? I think if, like, it's my fault too for not knowing that schedule, but it's easier to fill that slot if we knew, right? So I see stuff, there's drawing, painting, sculpting, there's participation. We are new, getting the ball rolling. So I think to get more than our fair share of submittals, right? I think until we get more than one, just run it. That's my thing, right? So let's not try to hit spots, let's run it, right? And we can always shift some of the other stuff around. And even if we pick as a commission one piece, we're swapping it, we're getting people in. That's my 2 cents.
Is that accurate, or do we need to actually, per piece, as a commission, say this is what we want when?
We would, as a city, probably prefer when stuff like this comes up, motions like this to proceed forward, just due to the nature of how city government works. So
So we need to be specific which piece and what time frame.
that is correct.
Thank you.
And that's for liability, I presume.
That is for liability. As commissioners, we have commissioners so that it's not Leah making the decision. So that way we have a quote unquote impartial group of people making those decisions. So that is kind of why we prefer that. Set times and specific pieces, if that makes sense. Certainly handing, if you feel Leah can give Leah discretion to put those pieces specifically like where she wants, but as far as like what pieces and how long, we would definitely prefer you guys determining that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, well, nice work on that, thank you. We move on to events and schedule updates for the CUNA Arts and History Center.
Yeah, so again, I used the template to show the upcoming things we have and the things that passed since our last meeting. In June, we released a call to artists, of course, and in July, we had 2 ranger visits that I set up, walk them through current exhibits and the current pieces that we have up at the center. We got a guest book, so we have pictures of them in our guest book too, so we have record of them visiting the center, and we hope to continue doing ranger visits as the years go by, so we'll have them again next year, hopefully. In August, again, we selected the art pieces that will go up for the next rotation, and I also scheduled a plein air paint out on August 23rd, so the plein air painters of Idaho will be at the center painting along the green belt, painting Indian Creek.
That plein air paint out?
Yep, so that's
Is there
gonna.
a flyer for that? Or?
Yeah, I'm working on one. I have it, and I'm just gonna be going out soon. It's just plein air painters paint out August 23rd. That I have a flyer for that I'm going to be putting out soon.
And you said that was the Idaho Plein Art Society or
Plein air painters of Idaho.
plein air? So, are there any contests with that? Are there any selection? It's just paint.
No, it's just they do paint out, so they go to whatever location they so choose, and they paint in plein air, which is just outside. So there's no contest or anything. It's just an event that I scheduled to hopefully get some folks down there to look at them paint, because that's they said that was fine. People go down there to watch them paint or join with their own materials as well. So it's not a contest. It's just an event that I scheduled with the plein air painters of Idaho.
I believe I've seen some, right? They can go out and paint here, there, all throughout CUNA. I think this is a great opportunity. Again, we're in the infant stage. There's the crawl, walk, run. We're still at the crawl stage. I believe, and I would like to see, the next one, I'd like to be a little more involved. And I think there's really some validity to those type of paintings getting in front of the community for purchase and or the community center and or a contest where it's judged and it's $175, $50. Right, it's not a lot of money, but yet we could work that into next year. And then we see some photos and we get it out on the CUNA social media or the paper, because people will come down. Very seldom are people painting CUNA, right? They're painting the Tetons or Driggs or something. But it is a big deal, and it's really cool. If you've never seen it, it's pretty special. I'm excited to see it, and I was on my phone putting down the date. I want to be here for that.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a really cool opportunity. I reached out to a few different artist organizations. Plein Air Painters of Idaho was one of them, and expressed interest in doing an event. Especially, I reached out to Plein Air Painters because I know they do paint outs like this. So yeah, I think I wanted to see if we could schedule one. Got one scheduled, and then I think it'd be great if we could continue to do it and grow it. I agree totally.
I would like to see 2 a year. Spring, when it warms up, it's spring and fall, right? And then maybe, okay, the first one's gonna be something, backgrounds, and because they go out and they paint and then they can come back and then they get judged. That's where there's like, you're bringing in the fish from the Bassmasters. People would show up at 5 o'clock, or there's a little hors d'oeuvres or something, and it's really cool. And then it would be some type of a theme. This is gonna be X, and then this time it's urban, whatever, right? So that's my vision.
Yeah.
I hope I share that. You share it.
No, yeah, I think it's a great opportunity to make it bigger. Like you said, they could go out and paint, plein air wherever, because that is the benefit to painting plein air. You can just go out wherever and do it. But yeah, I think it's a really cool opportunity, and I think I would love for it to grow. For sure. I would love to see it be a really big event. But again, we're at like the crawling stage, but that's kind of what I wanted to start doing at least. Yeah.
Hats off to you. Good job.
Yeah, so that's what we have in August. I do have that flyer that's going to be going out soon, seeing as it's August 1st. That's going to be put out probably the beginning of next week. In September. In August, we're also opening the new, as has been mentioned, the new history display as well. So new things will be going in for that. In September, there's the Art Attack Festival that's occurring. And I've reached out to the Art Attack planner for who plans sort of these events, expressed our interest, like the center's interest in participating in that event. They said it was a great idea, but as we get closer, in what way the center will participate will become more clear, whether that's a booth or if there's an activity happening at the center. But fairly confident we're going to be participating in that Art Attack Festival. So I put that on here, even though it's not clear in what way we're going to be able to participate based off their planning of the event. So, but that's happening in September as well.
So tell us a little bit about that if you can. That's already scheduled, set, and we would just be tagging along?
Yeah, so that's an event that that occurs every year, I believe. But that's scheduled by special events planner, and we would be tagging along. I saw that it was occurring, and seeing it as an art attack festival, I thought the Keno Arts and History Center would, should participate in it. So yeah, that is already planned. I believe it's September 21st. Let me look at my notes just a second. Yeah, so it's occurring September 21st from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And we'd just be participating in what way would work for the planner, essentially. But yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions or ideas for our schedule?
Yep, so that's just what that was in here for, just upcoming things that we have going on that pertains to the commission and the center that I wanted to update y'all on.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then I also came back with, you had a couple questions from the last meeting about budget and things like that, how that process would work using the commission funds in the budget. I spoke to a city clerk, and he just said it would essentially just be, an agenda item on the agenda, and it would need to be approved as long as it's, a reasonable amount or a smaller amount, a couple $100, what have you, for whatever event, or you say we need it for the facilities at the center. Those could be used. You just have to have it as an agenda item, and it would need to be approved. If it is a larger amount, just for an example, say like $10,000, that would need to be taken to city council for approval because it's such a large amount. But that's essentially just the process for how those funds would be used and the steps that would be taken to use those funds.
Do you know what the cutoff amount is between our approval and moving on?
Not exactly. I don't have like exact numbers on what would be, taken to city council. I just know a large amount. I don't know what the cutoff is for those funds. Yeah.
So if it is something that's going to be an agenda item, are we in a position where we should start talking about this is kind of the parameter that it should fall under, or are we just leaving it wide open at this point?
In regard to budget parameters.
Yes, and what it is that maybe would come before us for that. Like if we were looking at the contest for painters or musicians or sidewalk chalk, whatever it might be, is that going to be within the range that we would approve, or do we need to know ahead of time? This is kind of the cutoff if we have some bigger kinds of ideas for what might be able to happen.
I'm afraid I'm not quite understanding your question still.
I move to recess for 5 minutes to talk about it amongst us, because I got a deer in the headlights look.
I'm not understanding the question that's being asked.
What is our budget limits?
So the amount of budget that we have, or
The specific, at this time, the specific cutoff line would, I don't think either Leah or I have capacity to speak to. So if you're wanting like a specific, like $1,000 limit or $2,000 limit or whatever it is, I don't think either Leah or I could speak to that at this time, unfortunately. We could certainly try to get back to you as to where that limit is. You're probably looking at, I don't want to speak for the city in this regard, but you're probably looking at $1,000 or less as to your like free to use without going to city council. Once again, that is not, I don't want to say that is where it's at, but I'm assuming that's probably where you're at.
Thank you. That gives me at least some kind of an idea. And I was just considering then, do we try to look at bigger projects at some point? Or do we try to stay any projects that we might bring before this group be $1,000 or less? I'm just trying to get a feel for where are those parameters?
Gotcha. Sorry, I wasn't quite understanding, but yeah, I mean, I could come back again and ask to see what it is. When I asked to, just it was just told to me, a smaller amount would be fine without approval, but if it was a larger amount, say like $10,000, that would need to be taken to council. But I didn't clarify on what exactly would be, the cutoff.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, that looks like everything that we needed to cover for tonight, except to set items for the next agenda. So are there items that we do want to make certain that we have before this group with our next meeting? I don't know if this would be an agenda item, but Leah, is there anything that you needed help with or ideas on for the October, November, December displays or participation for the arts? It sounds like you have kind of the history set, but
Yeah,
the
so
arts.
history is set. If you do have any ideas for, that sort of last leg of the year, October through December, I would definitely welcome them. Because I know as we get into sort of like the holiday season, I think I would like to see events at the center. If you have any particular ideas that I could try and set up, or, I would love to hear them if you have any thoughts,
Thank
for
you.
sure.
Gentlemen, anything else that you can think we need to add for our next meeting? We certainly can, unless there are any other items that you would want for the agenda.
I don't have anything. Dave, do you have anything?
Okay,
Madam Chair, motion to adjourn meeting, 6:47.
there has been a motion to adjourn the meeting. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Moved and seconded to adjourn our meeting. All in favor say yes. Yes.
Yes.
All approved and no opposition. The motion clearly carries. Thank you, and we will see you next time, if not before.